All right, welcome to the program. It's time for us to look at very silent issues making the rounds in Nigeria. And the program is The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to today's episode that promises to be very interesting as we look at very interesting issues. We begin from the international scene where we'll be looking at the UK rejecting Russia's election result as Vladimir Putin wins his sixth term in office as the president of Russia. We also will be taking into Edo State where the Edo polls, APC picks Idahosa, Dennis Idahosa as the Edo governorship deputy candidate. We'll be looking at what played out after they had a pre-announced another candidate, Omorege, initially last Monday as the running mate, but now things have changed. So we'll be looking at what's panning out in Edo State. We'll also be looking at the big story that has to do with the power sector, where the federal government says it's going to begin the metering of all army formations across the country, and 12.7 billion has been marked for that purpose, aside from the 40 billion that the government has set aside for metering across the country. We'll be taking to the agriculture sector where we're still looking at food security. The International Fund for Agricultural Development is in the news as they say they have given $1.5 billion to Nigeria's agricultural development. So we'll be looking at how that money has been expended, especially in the northern region where that money has been implemented. Fast forward, we'll take you to Osun State, where the big story there has to do with Governor Adeleke. The dancing governor is in the news again. The big story says Adeleke renovates government house with 1 billion naira. And the APC is in with a big shout saying he's been ridiculous, especially at this time when Nigerians are going through hardship. 1 billion naira for renovating the government house in Osun State, a state that has been technically called the poverty state within the Yoruba nation. Or to be looking at what that means to Nigerians. Also, we'll be looking at the very sad occurrence that played out over the weekend in Delta State, specifically talking about Bomadi local government area as regards a communal clash where Okwama and also Okolo communities were engaged in a fight to finish, which started in January over a piece of land. And fast forward, three indigents of Okuma were killed, and reprisal attacks got to a point where someone was adopted, and the security agencies were called into the mix. And what played out not so nice as 2 majors, 1 captain, and 12 soldiers were allegedly murdered. And so the federal government has already given an order for the perpetrators to be fished out. It's going to be a very tricky one because everybody has fled that community. So we're going to be looking at that discourse. Also, the Senator Ningi issue is not going away anytime soon, as we've got the Aruwa Consultative Forum coming in to condemn the suspension of Ningi's, saying there should have been proper investigation before that suspension played out. All these are all the talking points we'll be doing, and we've got 2 guests. One is going to join us via Zoom. His name is, he's a political scientist in the person of Dr. Moses Sali, who will be joining us via Zoom. And later on, we'll be talking to another person via phone call from Edo State. His name is Comrade Collins Osage, who is one of the APC chieftains in that state. We'll be getting his take as regards what's playing out in Edo State as regards the coming elections in September 2024. So we're in for business. Let's begin our talking point with the political scientist and the person of Dr. Moses Sali. Good evening, Sali. Nice to have you join us on the program, The Desk. Good evening, Dr. Sali. Are you there? I think we quickly we'll be going for a very quick break to see when Sally joins us so that we can be able to get him across to help us look at other stories. Meanwhile, we're hoping to join with Comrade Collins Osage, who is in Edo State, to also get his take as well as what's playing out in Edo State. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, The Desk begins. All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to kick off this course. Dr. Sally, good evening. Thank you for joining us on the desk.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Tony.
All right, let's begin our discourse as regards all the stories we're looking at today. Let's begin from Edo State. Looking at the All Progressive Congress has settled for Honorable Dennis Idahosa as its deputy governorship candidate for the APC. Looking at the fact that before now, we know that Monday, Okpebolo had, mentioned Omorege Ogbeide Ihama as his, deputy. What do you think happened, and do you think Omorege will be happy wherever he is, the fact that he had to let go his slot to Dennis Idahosa?
Actually, it won't be happy because what they are trying to solve, the problem they are trying to solve by making Idahosa the deputy governorship candidate is it's not going to last long, the way I'm seeing it. Because originally it wasn't the choice of the gubernatorial candidate, Okpebolo. So it's like they're imposing a candidate on him. And that kind of imposition, I don't see it as something that will go well for the APC as a party and for the state in general. You can see what is going on right now between Obaseki and Shaibu, you know. Or Shaibu was imposed on Obaseki as his deputy governorship candidate, and you can see the relationship, very close relationship. You are likely to have that kind of scenario playing out between Okwebolo and Idahosa if they emerge as the winner of the election. Because, they are like spring bedfellows coming together. If you followed up the primary election, the APC primary election, the first one that was conducted, Idahosa was declared. Then the second one brought Okwebolo. So Idahosa himself, before now has been fighting that he was the authentic winner of that primary election.
True.
And now that they have decided to settle, just to settle the dust, they have decided to make him the deputy governorship candidate to Okpebolo. So I don't know how far that will go. I don't see that marriage working. I don't see it
But
working
don't you
because
think it's going to be positive for the PDP, the fact that they seem to have, Idahosa has his own followership, and so probably that will make them a stronger team against the opposition?
PDP also is having one crisis of itself. If you see the Shaibu faction, they are now, that's one of the reasons why they are pushing for Shaibu to keep, because he is claiming to be the gubernatorial candidate of the party, because his own primary was conducted somewhere else, while the other guy that picked it up elsewhere is pushing. So they also have their own crisis. But what is on the table now is the APC, who is trying to displace the PDP in the state to take over the state. But their house is not in order. Their house is not in order at all. And what they are trying to solve by making Idahosa the deputy governorship candidate, it's not likely to work. I don't see it as a marriage that will last long. So, with that kind of bad blood in the party, definitely going into the election, it will affect the outcome of that. Because those who are supporting Idahosa, it's not likely that all of them will be supporting the party now. Because the fact that their candidate won the election, especially, the former governor of the state, Adams Oshomole, Idahosa is handy from the beginning. Now that Pobolo has emerged, Oshomole is not happy about it. In a bid to acquit him, that is why they are trying to bring Idahosa to deputize the candidate of Ipobolo to run for the election. So I don't see I don't see that marriage work. I don't see that marriage politically. I don't see that marriage work.
All right. Do you see Monday Okpebolo looking over his shoulders all through because of how tricky this marriage is? Do you see him looking over his shoulder all through, even if they do go ahead to win? How safe would he be? How safe would he feel, knowing fully well that Shomole also has the backing of Idahosa technically?
Thank you very much. Even if they win the election, that marriage will not last. There could be impeachment, either trying to impeach the government, depending on who has the strength in the state house of assembly. If the loyalists to Idahosa
Yes.
are the ones that complete the state house of assembly, there will be attempts to impeach loyalists are the ones that dominate the state house of assembly. Definitely there will be impeachment proceedings against the devil. So that is why I say it's not a marriage that is going to work. I think who is going to work with him, at least for the interest of the state. And he had made his choice by choosing Omorege. But now they are now compelling him to drop his choice and choose Idahosa as a compromise choice. You see, it's not going to work. If the governor emerges and he still wants to work with Omorege, maybe a year or less than 2 years, they may get Idahosa out of the seat and bring Omorege in. So that is what I'm trying. That's the scenario that is likely to play out if they emerge. But the way they are, I don't see the APC pulling any surprise in the state because they are already divided against them.
All right, let's move on to the next talking
And
point. We've got a very interesting issue where the federal government has released a 12.7 billion naira for the metering of all army formations across the country. Yes, the federal government said they had 40 billion set aside, but they have released 12.7 billion for mass metering of all the Nigerian army formations nationwide. Do you think this is a very smart move by the government because they also want to assuage the feelings of the military, especially cast their mind back to what's happening in the Sahel region, where the military seems to have taken over in certain countries? Do you think they're trying to appease the military with this move? Hello?
That's not. I don't see it as something trying to appeal because if they are giving meters, prepaid meters, definitely they'll be recharging those meters now. It's not free, you know. Unlike now that they are giving the extra and they are owing electricity bills that have gone into millions of naira and unable to pay, and for that reason, electricity cut off from the barracks and they are in darkness and all that. Well, I have my reservation about the federal government coming in to provide uh, prepaid meters to privatize the power sector. If you have privatized the power sector, why are you allocating that huge amount of money to provide meters? For instance, look at the communication sector now. You have your phone, you have your SIM card in it. Is it the federal government that bought the phone for you? Is it the federal government that provided the SIM card for you? Citizens got those things themselves and they begin to pay for the services they are using. It's the same principle that applies to privatization of the power sector. Those who are providing the service, they should also make the meters available to the consumers. And as the consumers use the meter, then they pay for the service that they are using. Now the federal government is allocating huge amount of money to provide meters. Who does that? So where is the privatization? Where is the privatization? Because it's simple logic. You have privatized. I thought when government privatized and that kind of institution, you hands off from making that kind of investment in it. Because now you provide these meters, those meters will be now be reading As they render service, people recharge and they are that the money goes to the power holding company. So what what is the rationale for providing this money?
All right, a good question there. Good question there. Let's also ask the question as regards it's been said that the 9th Brigade, talking about the Lagos cantonment, is where this phase is going to kickstart. Some public critics have asked the question, why begin from Lagos that seem to have more steady power supply than other parts of the country that severely suffer a power blackout? Do you think government has done this with the mind of being objective, or they're just playing politics with every aspect of our national lives?
No, no, they can start from anywhere. It does not matter where they are starting from. The 9th Brigade, which is Ikeda Cantonment, is also a formation of the Nigerian Army. So they can start from anywhere, by providing. I went to University of Ibadan. While I was in the University of Ibadan, where all the hostels, even the shops within the university environment, has meters, prepaid meters. And those guys, those who are running those places, they got those meters themselves. They got those meters themselves. You could go to a shop, the next shop, you may not see electricity there. Maybe the person has run out of the recharge card and the power went off. But you see a barber, if you barb in a place, you see a barber there, he has just only by using slipper, he has no AC, just fan and all that. He has a meter, a prepaid meter. And I asked him, how did you get it? He acquired it. So that's apart. Now that they are providing it to military formations, it's okay. But I don't know the modalities by which they are doing that. Are they going to deduct the money from those who will be using it? They should clarify those things so that those who are subscribing to it, they are aware that as they recharge, certain percentage of the recharge they are making is deducted for the meters and all that for the payment, so that they will be aware of it. When you are doing things, do it transparently so that the end users will know what they are subscribing to. You don't just wake up and say we are providing meters, make it look as if it's a free gift, while at the end you are making deduction. They should communicate all the details around it. They should communicate it to the end users. Let them be aware what they are doing. If you recharge, for instance, 5,000 worth of credit units, and at the end of the day, you realize that it's 4,500 worth of credit units that you have used and it has run out. What happens to the 500? What is it for? Is it for the meter or for what? All these details must be communicated to the people. You don't just come and say you are giving meters and you make it look as if it's a free distribution, but why charges are coming along? They should be able to open up and explain all these things to people so that people will understand it and prepare themselves for it.
All right, let's move into the agriculture sector. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, has said that they've spent $1.5 billion supporting agriculture since its existence in Nigeria 45 years ago. The associate vice president, in the person of Dr. Donna Brown, informed that the organization commits at least $110 million every 3 years in the country. Let's look at this, and it says that the support food production value chain in northern Nigeria and climate adaptation. Would you say you've seen their impacts? Has it been obvious, or should this make us begin to probe activities in the agricultural sector? Because if this amount is actually has been spent in the last 45 years, would you say we've seen the impact?
Obviously, when it comes to intervention organization, intervention fund like that, uh, there is limit to what they can do. I think when you see such organization, most of the things they do, they conduct research. Most of their funding go into research in terms of improved seedling, the soil type, and all kind of research. They do those research to help the farmers to improve, in their output, because their intervention, their way of intervention may come in the way of seedling, improved seedling, irrigation, supporting irrigation, supporting, fertilizers and all kinds of things that inputs that farmers need to be able to have, improve harvest and all that. So those kinds of, support, they don't just come in the manner that you will see a smallhold farmer is being given a tractor, for instance, or is being given one thing or the other that is of high cost or something. They don't come in that dimension. They come in mostly by conducting research that can, and they share the research output, to help those who are, farming a particular crop or the other to be able to, to get a good yield from their effort. So within these years that they have been in existence and they have spent $1.5 billion, to me it's conservative. It's very conservative because if you look at their budget line, they say they have about $400 million that they use per annum and all that. And you know that this organization, they are very, very accountable. Whatever they give out, they make sure they provide, detailed account of it. So for that reason, even the annual allocation, they may not be able to exhaust even up to 50% of it because of that rigorous process of making their expenditure transparent and accountable. So if you look at the huge amounts that $1.5 billion, it's not as if this money goes straight to the farmers. They come in the way of intervention. What are the challenges that farmers are facing? What are the seeds, the quality of the seed that they are using? Do you have access to irrigation? All those things they look into it. Fadama, and all that. These are the areas they come in. Try season farming and all that, so that they can be able to improve food security in the country. This is the area they come in. They are not like the federal government that gives, fertilizers to these, buy tractors, or state government that do that, invest in this area. They don't come in that dimension. Most of their interventions are research based,
All right.
you know, and
All right, so
all that.
let's take you to Osun State, where the governor Ademola Adeleke, who they know as the dancing governor, has been berated by the APC for refurbishing the government house with alleged 1 billion naira. Governor Adeleke had last Saturday opened the newly rehabilitated government house in Oshogbo with top officials and dignitaries joining him at the facility. But it took the PDP the APC chairman of the state in the person of Kola Olabisi to describe the inauguration as a misplaced priority. Do you agree with the APC chairman of the state?
First and foremost, you should know that as far as Osun State is concerned,
Osun
APC is in
State,
the
yeah.
opposition. Osun State, as far as Osun State is concerned, APC is in the opposition. So when such things comes out, definitely they will provide, counter narrative to it and all that. But that does not justify, what has happened. Considering the season where we are, I don't know when they started the project, but government should be sensitive to the plight of the people. If at this point in time the people are, complaining of hunger and all kinds of the economy is tough and all that, I think what any responsible government should be thinking of is how do I reduce the burden of the people? How do I reduce the burden of the people? Especially in Osun State where we hear stories of people going to steal foodstuffs from the market or food on the fire, they pick it up and run away with it because of hunger and all that. When you to hear such things, this is not the appropriate time for any sensitive government to come out and say you want to refurbish the government house where the governor and senator will be staying at that amount of money. It's insensitive to the best of my knowledge. Considering this, I'm not saying that when the economy is doing well and people are, doing well, you cannot do that. But considering the time when we find ourselves, where things are very tough, I don't think it's a good news to hear such news coming out from the government. People should channel resources to where they can, lessen the burden of the people, especially addressing their basic needs, the basic needs of food, shelter, and clothing. All these are required at this time. People need food more than ever before. So if it requires the state government to go to other states where they have food and buy those food items and bring to your state and distribute to your citizens, so that all you crash the prices of food by, so taking these food items to the market within your state so that citizens can afford it. I think that would be a better option. But notwithstanding, I don't know when this contract was awarded. Perhaps when we came in immediately, he did that. I can't tell. But if something had happened, I think if whatever means they are using to inaugurate such projects, they would have toned it down, considering the sensitivity of the time. They would have reduced all kinds of fanfare and all kinds of celebrations surrounding that. Because that, to me, that's not an achievement.
All right.
It's not an achievement at all.
All right, let's end the conversation with you before we join our next guest. Let's look at the very disturbing story that played out in Delta State, which has led President Bola Tinubu and the Senate on Sunday to order the military to apprehend the killers of 16 Nigerian Army personnel who were on a peace mission to Okwama, a community in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State. In carrying out the order, it was gathered that Sunday the military compared the warring communities, arrested a lot of persons, including 3 prime suspects, as the president declared that the defense headquarters and the defense chief had full authority to bring anybody responsible to justice. Let's look at the fact that this is a communal clash between Okwama in the Ughelli South local government area and Okoloba in Bomadi local government area. The issue is that the whole story tells us that, okay, 3 indigents of one of the communities were allegedly ambushed and killed. Then reprisal led to the kidnap of another person from the other community, only for them to, invite the military. Do you think the military was compromised? That was why this killing took place, because one of the communities felt the other person was trying to show that he had more connection and brought in the military in between. Can we completely blame the communities for what played out, or would you say the military was caught in the middle?
Thank you very much. The issue of compromising the military does not exist, because if you know how the military operates, the military does not operate.
But they were called. One of the faction community called them into the issue. So obviously the other part community felt like, okay, you are taking sides already.
No, that is not correct.
But that's what the report tells us.
There's a battalion of the army, the amphibious battalion, because that's the riverine area.
Okay.
So the military has an amphibious battalion that is stationed there. This intercommunal crisis between the 2 communities that you call, it's not something that started yesterday. There has been an age-long crisis. So that is the reason why you have the military formation there. So it's not something that if the military comes to support somebody. No. In fact, if you look at what happened, the moment the military arrived, they have not even started anything. They opened fire immediately. Unprovoked, they opened fire. And what happened? They killed the commanding officer, they killed 2 majors, they killed the captain and 12 soldiers. And what did they do? These bodies, because they tried to conceal it, they cut off their hair, removed their genitals, and throw them into the water so that it could sink. So you can see that it was a well-premeditated action, well in hand. And they didn't just do that, they did that to conceal whatever crime that they have committed. But there is something that we need to understand. It appears that people don't learn from history. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to deal with it. We have had issues like that in the past. The OD, for instance, in Bayelsa State, the OD, where military were killed and the reprisal, came heavy on the community, and the community is still talking about it today. We had the Zakidian attack, the same thing. The military personnel were killed and was a reprisal. So, if we learn from history, we will try to restrain ourselves from doing this type of thing. I don't know if 2 communities are, engaging in intercommunal crisis. There are mechanisms, there are processes by which issues like that are resolved. It's not by taking up arms, killing one another, kidnapping one another. It does not bring solution to the problem. You know,
But
and like I
are you
said,
saying
this crisis,
it was okay the way the military decided to go into the community, knowing that there was already tension between
if a
both
military,
communities,
if
rather than
if
call
you
for a
read the story,
truce? They came in because the report we got was that one of the person of the other community who was held hostage was the one that put that call across for the military to come to his rescue, and the other side of the divide felt,
listen, listen, listen. If you
but
listen to the
my
story,
question to you is, with the velocity the army went into that community and, cleared it, how come we don't see that kind of zeal when it comes to them fighting the Boko Harams? Why is it when it has to do with civilians, they tend to show their strength?
do you think that the people that killed this military personnel, Boko Haram, are better than? You hardly see Boko Haram, taking out this type of people in a single show. You hardly see such things happening where a Boko Haram will kill a commanding officer, kill his officers, kill soldiers of that number with a single show. It's not like that. What we are trying to say is that if you look at how the thing happened, the divisional police headquarters there was contacted first. There was no response. The DSS were contacted. There was no response. And the problem was escalating. That was why the military came in. The military came in to stop the escalation. And the moment the military arrived, they now said, why would the military come to intervene? Then they opened fire. So
Commentary,
you should understand
a very sad commentary there, but
that.
we'll have to leave that conversation since the investigations are still going on so that we don't seem to want to take sides. But I want to say thank you very much for your analysis of all the stories we looked at on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say thank you very much for always coming to give us a very balanced analysis and insight as regards very salient issues.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that has been Dr. Moses Sali, who is a political scientist, helping us look at issues making the rounds as regards those top stories. And it's now time for us to join our next guest, who is joining us all the way from Edo State. His name is Comrade Collins Osage, who is one of the spokesperson for the APC. So we'll be taking Collins Osage in the next 2 minutes. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be having him to help us look at what's playing out in Edo State. That will be in 2 minutes. Let's go for a quick break. Welcome back from the break. You're watching The Desk on Global Television. It's now time for us to join our guest who is reaching us from Edo State, where his name is Comrade Collins Osahai, who is a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress. Comrade Collins, thank you for joining us on The Desk.
Thank you very much. Good evening. It's nice to be with you today.
All right, let's look at
it's been a while.
All right, a long while. So let's look at what's playing out. Dahosa, Dennis Dahosa, now the deputy governor candidate to go alongside Monday Okpebholo. How did the political landscape take this decision that was arrived? And is Omorige happy with this decision?
Sorry, thank you very much. For us, for majority of us in Edo, we have since resolved on Senator Monday Okpebholo, seeing his track record, his kind of person, his level of humility. So, but anyhow it has gone, Edo has since resolved to see how very best we will support Senator Monday Okpebholo to becoming the governor of Edo State. He's an outstanding man. Yes, for the order you talked about, there have been a lot of interest, and for very many people, probably know what they thought or what they wished for. But however, I really do not want to go into all of that. But I think those are stories to be discussed another day. But just as it is right now, we in Edo have not been told anything, because we only were aware that the senator and our flag bearer has gone to Abuja to pick the flag from the president as the leader of the party, to flag the flag of the party in Edo State. And we are anxiously waiting for him to return back and probably tell us some of other news we are not aware. So we do not want to talk on the basis of media reports. We want to hear from our senator when he returns back to Edo. But as a party people, we have shown our height of solidarity with Senator Monday Okpebholo, who indeed the Edo people has been yearning to see as a governor, owing to the fact that there have been a lot of decadence and failure in government administration in Edo State. Monday has been exceptional. His level of humility and meekness has been unprecedented. It's not just because he's me, but even as a senator, for all that he has achieved within this short period of being a senator representing the good people of Edo Central in the Senate, is over, not being over blunted, but extraordinarily recordable. And that the people have been so happy in the area of security. He has shown more concern, even more than what the governor have done. In the area of health, he has shown concern by donating a lot of mobility for invariably all the health centers and hospital in Edo Central to have succor. In the area of transport, he has shown sense of commitment by giving free commitment and free transportation to the people.
Let's look at, with this formation now, these two candidates, is there a guarantee that the PDP will be able to sweep the polls come September?
For us, as I told you, as party people in Edo, what many of us are aware about, including me, is the fact that our senator has gone to Abuja to take the flag from the leader of the party, to represent the party, to be our gubernatorial flag bearer. So we have been committed. We have been ready to help him tell Edo people what he can do.
Can we look at the issue of Philip Shaibu is still there? Don't you think Philip Shaibu is going to play the spoiler for the PDP?
Yes, PDP has been a very divided home for a very long time, owing to the attitude of the incumbent governor, who believes that winners take it all, and who do not believe in all that philosophy. And I can tell you, PDP is as empty as anything in Edo State. Not because PDP as an entity or as they were people who were not ready to continue to sustain their party as a party, but because when you have a leadership that is not humane, a leadership that is not humble, a leadership that feels every other person doesn't matter, and the result you get herein is that the people will be very unhappy. So majority of PDP people have been very unhappy, and with the emergence of somebody like Senator Monday Okpebholo, it has been a very good one. And that is why even all the APC have been praying that we do not have a running mate that will be so pompous, a running mate that feels nobody counts, a running mate that feels it should be all about him. And that is why we are praying and hoping that when the senator comes back from Abuja, he should be able to talk to party faithfuls and those who believe him on who he's running mate, and if there be, he would then also be advised probably on what issues should be. But for PDP, as I talk to you, yes, they already have a running mate. The governorship candidate for PDP absolutely is a nobody that is known anywhere, and PDP is leveraging on their deputy because probably their deputy has been on ground for quite some time, and is a man that has been able to reach to different set of people across party line. So probably that's why they picked him, thinking he would best help them. But for the candidate of the PDP, is really not a name that is known by any people. He has not really touched lives, but they are leveraging.
Let's look at the APC. Currently, Nigerians are suffering. The APC government on the national level now. Most people believe the APC have brought more hardship to Nigerians than any other party. Do you think the people of Edo State will still want to, vote the APC to power with what the hardship Nigerians are going through with the somersaulting policies of the current government?
Thank you. I think the issues here is that even the Edo voters and the people that are well informed know that the present policies of the present administration led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is how to make life better. He's not ready to paint the ordinary as usual. They paint the surface and make it look as if it's well. They know the president is overhauling the system to see how best things can be better, and we having a long-term benefit which will benefit your children and even my unborn grandchildren. And that is what the president is doing right now. For Edo people, they know that the policies of the president are to help us have a new and a working system. So certainly when you want to overhaul a system, there will certainly be a temporary or an immediate setback. But the overall interest is what's more important. Like, for example, in Edo State now, there are major of federal roads road have been abandoned for over 20-something years. Today, like in the Sample Road from Benin, King Square, to up to Bayelsa, there is a major work that has been ongoing by this present administration, which was started about 3-4 months ago.
All right.
And the job we are seeing in that Sample Road is something that not even, if not for the removal of the subsidy, we wouldn't have seen such a job.
All right,
and it's so massive and unprecedented that people are so happy that they are sure that even the product from the rural area cannot get to the urban area, and we are having a project that can last 50-60 years, and that is being initiated by the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Let's look at the security situation in Edo State. Pleasant. Do you think the present administration has done enough when it comes to the insecurity in the state and also the economic hardship in the state? What's the guarantee that these two big political parties, the APC and PDP, will be able to win the polls and not the maybe Labour Party or the SDP or the other parties? Do you think they stand a chance in shocking the two major political parties?
Thank you very much. But the issue too is who is on ground. In election, you must have a structure, not just by say. Who does the Labour Party have? That is what matters. Who is the candidate? It matters. In PDP, who is the candidate? In APC, who is the candidate? What can they prove as an empirical evidence? Now, you agree with me, yes, things are falling apart, especially in Edo State, because one, the closest people to the people are the local government and the state government, who by virtue of having enough funds, going to Abuja to collect our allocations, collecting the IGROs, budgeting for subsequent things that have not come to reality, we needed to ask the governor, the local government people questions. So our people have been asking the governor questions. In your budgeting, you want to set up agricultural settlement in the 3 senatorial districts. Over 7-6 years, you have continually budgeted and we have not seen one grade. We have seen other states that are functional, that are working. It's not about federal government. All our locations and the local IGRO you have been collecting, what have you been using them for? The governor does not have any questions or even answers for all of this. And now they have been kidnapping, insecurity everywhere. Where have you? They have been budget on security. The governor, can you tell us how have you assisted both the police, the civil defense, and even the local civil defense that have been initiated, or the direct, or the DSSS, as it were? None of these things have been happening either as a way of vehicular gadgets, or even normal basic ones like we've seen in previous government, where you have projects like Operation Thunderstorm, Scorpion, and all of that to assist in the security level. The governor have not done all this. He has never even told us how he has been managing our budgetary, or those money that have come both from World Bank, from interventional bodies and all of that, including CBN, or not to talk about the main statutory locations that they get from federal, every month. So all these have boiled down to the fact that the governor have talked more than he has done. It's good to talk on televisions, hold the microphone and speak very big English, but the capital of it is that there is nothing to show on ground. There is nothing to show on ground. Quite sadly, the people have since resolved that with the administration of the governor, creating problems everywhere, fighting traditional rulers, distorting the traditional system we have in the state. Problem everywhere, fighting here, fighting there.
All right.
They have since
Collins,
made up their mind that they were over and through with the governor.
Okay, Collins, that's how much time we allow us to take on today's edition of the program at the desk. Hopefully, we hope to talk with you and your principal somewhere in the course of this week or next week. Hopefully, we'll get your principal live on Global Television so we can get more updates as regards how the APC and the politics in Edo State is shaping out ahead of the 2024 September polls, where the APC, the PDP, and other parties will be staking for the #1 seat of the state. All right, this is how much time is going to let us take. I want to say thank you to our first guest in the person of Dr. Moses Sali for joining us, and also Comrade Collins Osahai. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this evening, and thank you for your analysis of what the people of Edo State are expecting ahead of the polls. All right, thank you, Collins. All right, so that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for joining us on today's edition. Hopefully tomorrow is going to be more exciting as we look at salient issues making the rounds in Nigeria. Good evening.